Nikola Jokic is not human. At least that's exactly what it feels like when you watch him play. He's a 7-foot Serbian magician disguised as a center, moves like a guard, passes like a point god, and stacks stat lines that look straight out of a video game. But it's not just the numbers, it's how he does it. No forced shots, just pure orchestration. And somehow he makes the impossible look routine.
Julian cheated way in.
Jokic gonna throw it up from way.
Today, we're breaking down his 10 most ridiculous performances, ranked from unbelievable to flat out absurd. By the time we get to number 1, you might start questioning if this guy is even real. Let's kick things off with a game that for anyone else would be the highlight of their career, but for Jokic, it barely makes the list. Dropping a 40-15-15 triple-double in a clutch overtime win is absurd, but when Jokic did it on Christmas Day 2022, it felt like just another day at the office. While most of us were unwrapping presents, Nikola Jokic was busy delivering something special to Nuggets fans. A 41-point, 15-rebound, 15-assist triple-double in a heart-stopping overtime win against the Suns. Only 2 other players in NBA history, Oscar Robertson and James Harden, have ever put up those numbers in a single game. The Nuggets needed every ounce of Jokic's brilliance to pull it off, and he delivered with his signature brand of effortless dominance. After the game, Aaron Gordon, who had a front-row seat to the madness, summed it up best. Sick. Those are video game numbers.
Sick. It's unreal. It's really like video game numbers.
And the craziest part? On Jokic's resume, this is just the appetizer. A 40-point triple-double in an overtime thriller is unreal, but what if I told you Jokic once broke an NBA record before some fans had even found their seats? Most players spend an entire game chasing a triple-double. Some spend their whole careers trying to get one. But Nikola Jokic? He clocked in, shattered an NBA record, and probably had time for a snack before halftime. In just 14 minutes and 33 seconds, Jokic recorded the fastest triple-double in NBA history against the Milwaukee Bucks. And he didn't just break the record, he annihilated it. By the time he was done, he had 30 points, 17 assists, and 15 rebounds.
Now they're doubling now behind the back. Juancho lay it up and in!
Shooting a ridiculous 11 of 14 from the field, 3 of 3 from deep, and 5 of 5 from the line. It looked like he was playing pickup while everyone else was playing for their lives. From the opening tip, Jokic was 2 steps ahead, threading no-look dimes, dominating the boards, and scoring at will. The Bucks had no answer. By halftime, the record was his. By the end, the Nuggets were in full control, and the world had another reason to wonder if Jokic was secretly an AI-generated player. Dominating with speed is one thing, but what about making the league's most feared defensive anchor look like a traffic cone? Rudy Gobert isn't just a good defender, he's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, a shot-blocking 7-foot wall, and a guy paid handsomely to shut down elite bigs. But on January 31st, 2021, Nikola Jokic turned him into a bystander. Jokic cooked the Jazz for 47 points, dismantling one of the NBA's best defenses like it was a casual workout. Fadeaways, floaters, post-ups. Gobert tried to contest, but it didn't matter. Jokic wasn't just scoring, he was toying with Utah.
Now Jokic coming in, tries to scoop it up, got it back with the left hand, gets an extra rebound.
Turning Gobert into a spectator, and just for good measure, he added 12 rebounds and 5 assists, because why not? At halftime, he already had 33 points, and for a while, it looked like he'd drop his first career 50-piece. But with the game in hand, Jokic sat out most of the fourth, finishing just 3 points shy as Denver cruised to a 128-117 win, snapping Utah's 11-game win streak. At this point, everyone knew Jokic was an elite passer, a basketball genius, and a floor general. But after this game, the conversation changed. Suddenly, people had to ask, was Jokic an elite scorer too? Scoring 47 on a Defensive Player of the Year is impressive, but sometimes Jokic makes winning itself look ridiculous. There are great performances, and then there are games that leave you staring at the screen, questioning reality. This was one of those. On January 19th, 2022, with the Nuggets down late against the Clippers, Jokic decided, with all the urgency of someone choosing what to watch on Netflix, that Denver simply wasn't going to lose. He erupted for 37 of his 49 points in the second half and overtime, dragging his team back with an unstoppable mix of footwork, finesse, and sheer willpower. But as ridiculous as his scoring was, the moment that broke the game wasn't a bucket, it was a pass. In the final seconds of overtime, the Clippers swarmed Jokic, desperate to stop the inevitable. But instead of forcing a tough shot, Jokic did what only Jokic can do. He flung an insane one-handed cross-court laser to Aaron Gordon, who drilled the dagger 3. The crowd exploded. The Clippers froze. Everyone watching had the same reaction. What just happened?
Him late. Cross court. Gordon for the lead. AG!
By the final buzzer, Jokic had 49 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 assists, casually putting up a triple-double masterpiece while making one of the league's best defenses look helpless. For most players, this would be a career peak. For Jokic, just another night of making the impossible look routine. If you thought regular season Jokic was unstoppable, just wait until you see playoff Jokic at full power. There's regular season Jokic, an MVP caliber wizard who makes basketball look easy. And then there's playoff Jokic, a version so dominant, so unstoppable, it makes you question if he's even playing the same sport as everyone else. On May 7th, 2023, in Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals, the Phoenix Suns got the full, unfiltered Jokic experience. Jokic was a man possessed, dropping 53 points on 20 of 30 shooting. A masterclass so complete it should have come with a certificate.
You get easy scoring opportunities. Jokic inside.
He bullied DeAndre Ayton in the post, drained one-legged fadeaways, and shrugged off double teams like they weren't even there. And just for good measure, he still found time to dish out 11 assists, because apparently scoring 50 plus wasn't enough. And yet, it still wasn't enough. Denver fell 129 to 124, as Kevin Durant and Devin Booker combined for 72 points, stealing the win and evening the series. But while the Nuggets took the loss, Jokic sent a clear message. If you want to beat him in the playoffs, you better bring multiple Hall of Famers, because anything less is just asking to be embarrassed. Oh, and if 53 points wasn't enough entertainment, Jokic also got into a courtside scuffle with Suns owner Matt Ishbia, briefly turning the Western semis into a WWE crossover event. Because why settle for breaking records when you can also break into NBA drama? That playoff game was historic, but Jokic doesn't just break records, he shuts down debates.
Jokic, 39, 11, and 10. Here he goes again.
Up next, the game that locked up his second MVP award before the season was even over. Some performances argue for MVP. This one ended the debate. On March 6, 2022, Nikola Jokic delivered a masterpiece so absurd, it felt scripted by the basketball gods. Against the Pelicans, he dropped 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 blocks, and 3 steals, stuffing the stat sheet like he was playing every position at once. But what made this game legendary? The fourth quarter and overtime. With Denver trailing, Jokic activated the full takeover mode and outscored the entire Pelicans team 30-13 by himself down the stretch. That's not a center, that's an entire offense in one player. Turnaround jumpers, clutch threes, no-look dimes, and defensive stops. New Orleans tried everything. Double teams, physicality, pure desperation, but Jokic split them like Moses parting the Red Sea. By the time Denver sealed the 138-130 win, the MVP race was over. This wasn't just an elite game, it was a public service announcement to the league. Jokic wasn't just the MVP, he was the best player on the planet.
Morris nearly traveled, 4 to shoot. Jokic puts up a prayer, and it's answered!
Regular season dominance is one thing, but when the Larry O'Brien trophy is on the line, some players shrink and others, like Jokic, somehow find another gear that shouldn't even exist. Winning a championship is the ultimate test in basketball. Some players rise to the occasion, but when Joker's moment arrived, he rewrote history. On June 7th, 2023, in Game 3 of the NBA Finals, Jokic became the first player ever to record a 30-20-10 stat line in Finals history. 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. But it wasn't just the numbers that left jaws on the floor. It was the way he controlled the game like a chess grandmaster playing checkers against everyone else. Every possession ran through him. He dictated the pace, shredded Miami's defense, and dominated the glass like a one-man wrecking crew. The Heat threw everything at him. Zone, doubles, traps, physical play. But trying to stop Jokic was like trying to contain water with your bare hands. He stayed patient, made every right read, and crushed any any hope of a Miami comeback. This was a legacy moment, the game where the world stopped debating and realized Nikola Jokic is an all-time great. Winning a ring cemented Jokic's legacy, but before that, he had to prove he could take over a game by himself.
Jokic calling for the ball against Kevin Love. Spins, flips it up and in.
Which brings us to this next game, a masterclass in carrying a team with zero help. Not every masterpiece ends in victory. Sometimes even a 50-point explosion isn't enough. On February 6, 2021, Nikola Jokic hit the 50-point mark for the first time in his career, doing everything in his power to drag the Nuggets to a win. He dropped 23 of those points in the fourth quarter alone, trying to will Denver past the Kings. A deeper look at the numbers shows just how ridiculous this performance was. Jokic made 20 of Denver's 45 total field goals, with the rest of the squad shooting a miserable 39%. He accounted for 40% of the team's assists, added 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal, and somehow finished with just 1 turnover. Despite his heroic one-man show, the Nuggets fell short, 119-114, the kind of performance that makes you wonder what more he could have possibly done, besides cloning himself 4 times.
Give back to Jokic. He'll fire the 3. And he banks it in.
This wasn't just a scoring outburst, it was a showcase of why he ran away with the 2021 MVP. The only thing missing was a little help, or maybe a lot of help. Scoring 50 is great though, but posting a stat line straight out of the Wilt Chamberlain archives? That's jokes. Putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers in the modern NBA should be physically impossible, but Nikola Jokic has never cared about what's supposed to be possible. On December 18th, 2022, Jokic broke basketball with a stat line that seemed copy-pasted from the 1960s. 40 points, 27 rebounds, and 10 assists, a level of dominance the league hadn't seen since Wilt himself. He controlled every inch of the game, bullying the Hornets inside, cleaning the glass like a one-man rebounding machine, and still finding time to set up teammates with pinpoint passes. The Hornets had zero answers. In fact, nobody in NBA history has ever had an answer for a performance like that. It wasn't just dominance, it was the basketball equivalent of bringing a tank to a water balloon fight. And the scariest part, he made it look effortless, like he could do this any night he felt like it. We've seen unbelievable performances down the countdown, but for years, there was one milestone Jokic had yet to reach.
13-point lead for Denver. Got it again.
Then, on one unforgettable night, he made NBA history. For years, Jokic flirted with the mythical 30-20-20 stat line. He teased us, came close, and made it seem inevitable. Then, on March 7th, 2025, basketball's impossible dream became reality. 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 22 assists in a 149-141 overtime win against the Suns. It wasn't just another Jokic triple-double. It was something the game had never seen before. Not Wilt, not Magic, not Russell, not LeBron, just Nikola Jokic, and of course he did it his way. No forced shots, no stat padding, just pure basketball genius. He picked apart the Suns' defense like a surgeon with X-ray vision, throwing laser passes to open shooters, snatching rebounds over 7-footers, and scoring whenever he felt like it, slow motion moves and all. The Suns threw everything at him, double teams, switching, prayer, but Jokic ran the game like a conductor leading an orchestra. And the most Jokic part of it all, his reaction. In the post-game press conference, when asked about producing one of the greatest stat lines in NBA history, Jokic just shrugged.
No, I was talking to Adrian, he said to me that was quiet, 30 point. And I said, that's probably true, because I think that they didn't do anything like special. It just seemed like everything was in flow.
This wasn't just his best game ever. This was one of the most legendary performances the NBA has ever seen. The moment we'd all been waiting for. And Jokic being Jokic, he might just do it again. That's it for now, but knowing Jokic will be back with another ridiculous performance sooner than later. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop your favorite Jokic masterpiece in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe for more NBA content, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.